Okay, so this morning, probably no surprise, we'll do a meditation on appreciating our precious human rebirth. So first of all, setting our motivation. Think that, actually, from beginningless time, I and all other beings have been circling, wandering aimlessly in samsara, suffering existence one after the other, drowning in this torrent of negative karma, afflictions, and so forth. It seems impossible to see the end to all this or to see the depth of suffering. So at this time with this precious human rebirth, taking the essence of that, the 8 freedoms and 10 richnesses, is highly meaningful. And on top of that, having met the precious teachings of the Buddha, which is so difficult to meet, and the holy virtuous friend who reveals the complete unmistaken path. If I don't try as hard as I can, with great perseverance and joyous effort, to attain the most sublime state of full enlightenment for not just my own benefit, beyond the state of peace and all samsaric suffering, I will myself experience the suffering of samsara over and over again for countless of lifetimes. So a little bit of the outline, setting as our motivation, and then taking a few moments, settle your body, speech and mind into a state of stillness, relaxation, and alertness. I think through the power of my meditation, reflection on the points of the teachings, I just bring myself closer to enlightenment, closer to the path to enlightenment, so that I can unmistakably help all other sentient beings, guide them to enlightenment as well. So contemplating the nature of your mind, which is clear, pure, and has infinite potential. The only thing stopping it is ourselves. Infinite potential to attain Buddhahood, the state of perfect, complete purity, goodness, power, wisdom, perfection. And think that this too is the nature of the mind of all sentient beings, or mind, semchen, mind possesses. So if you've got your microphone on, could you mute it? So I think the nature of every being's mind is like this, as vast as space, unlimited, infinite, pure by nature. So our negative thoughts, the afflicted states of mind, that are deluded states of mind, which arise unbidden, that we're habituated to, it seems, from beginningless time, that propel us to engage in regrettable emotional episodes, negative actions, harmful speech, and so forth, are not fixed, permanent parts of the mind. They're adventitious, temporary obscurations, transient. Simply like the clouds passing through the sky, you can't reach up and grab hold of them, they evaporate. Because they were based on confusion, ignorance, and all the misconceptions, all the wrong views and elaborations of the mind, they can be cleared away until we reach that state, having cleared away, to completely attain the state of complete purity, perfection, the culmination of all the positive qualities of our minds. So you can reflect on all your positive qualities, your intelligence, your loving kindness, your compassion, your wisdom, your running to the Dharma with joyous effort, your generosity, your courage, all that has given you this time, this human rebirth, not only human rebirth, but all the causes and all the conditions, for a perfect human rebirth, to take the precious essence of this life. It means that we can, in every moment, body, speech, and mind, benefit others, bring happiness to others, and in that way, bring ourselves the happiness we seek. To spend some time feeling very joyful about all your positive qualities. As Lama Zopa Rinpoche says, we don't rejoice enough. We're very good at beating ourselves up for our inadequacies, but really take great delight in all your positive potential, your positive qualities that lie within you, and your great joyous effort wanting to cultivate these, to study, to reflect, to meditate on these precious teachings on the Bodhisattva's way of life, so that we can practice them perfectly ourselves. And then even though all other sentient beings have exactly the same potential to transform their minds, to become enlightened, They don't have all these precious opportunities, the freedoms and opportunities that we have that have come together this one time. They lack the capacity or the conditions to be able to recognize their potential, let alone develop that. So here we are, the best situation. Being born human is the best rebirth to take, knowing that is on the foundation for our souls of having practiced pure ethics in previous lives, in the context of having vows, maintaining vows purely, and the practice of generosity. The most powerful generosity we can practice is that of the Dharma. The thing is, you continue to create the causes for higher rebirth in future lives. And the stainless prayers that we made, strong prayers just like we make now, pure prayers, not with strings attached, not with grasping at worldly pleasures, but purely motivated by loving kindness, compassion, not bearing to see the suffering of beings. So think that in other realms of existence, the lower realms, for example, incredible suffering. If we think about a rebirth in the animal realm, because we can see animals, just thinking how many more of them than humans, whatever, 7.6 or 7.7, whatever number of humans we have in the world. I mean, just on a tiny morsel of food, how many ants gather? It seems like millions, maybe hundreds, I'm not sure, but so many. All the animals on the earth, in the ocean, under the earth, in the sky. Spending their whole time trying to survive, not having someone to care for them when they're cold, when they're wet, when it rains, when the big love cafe closes down and we're not giving them food and they come pecking at your door. Actually, we do help them. But they're better off than those animals in the wild, really fending for themselves, totally compelled by fear of being killed themselves. Every moment in fear. Imagine a mind like that. Overwhelmed by fear. And we see it in so many people at the moment. You know, all those people on the front line are overwhelmed by fear and anxiety. You know, the medics and nurses and even people in the supermarket, working in supermarkets, fearful for their own lives. And that's only a tip of the fear that runs the life of an animal. And getting cold, wet, sick, injured. Or even not in the wild, but being raised to be killed for human consumption, for all their products, for their meat, for their fur, for whatever. Incredible fear when the little bobby calves a few days old are ripped away from their mummies. And even the most intelligent animals, even our dear pets, have very limited capacity to be able to develop their minds, to develop intellectually, let alone spiritually. The only way, as Geshe said, when our pets are dying, or when they're alive, that we can benefit them is through the Dharma. The only way we can benefit all beings, truly, in essence. As the Buddha said, I can only point the way. I can't reach in and take away your afflicted states of mind. I can't wash away the imprints of your negative karma. I can't implant my realizations into your mental continuum. All I can do is guide the way, teach. So how fortunate we are to have all those conditions, to have the teaching. In fact, overwhelming numbers of teachings, even in so-called lockdown. So many teachings online, all our precious teachers offering freely. Amazing. So precious. Even being born human doesn't guarantee you to have the right conditions to develop potential. For example, living in a war zone, imagine in Syria, or maybe in New York at the moment, other places, hotspots, where it's just unbelievable, surrounded by death. We certainly see this virus has shown us how fragile, how susceptible this body is, how frail, just to the teeniest, tiniest little microscopic virus that can kill, 250,000 people gone in an instant. And so many sick, suffering. So absolutely no time to practice Dharma. We know for ourselves how much harder it is to practice Dharma when we're sick. Actually, even the slightest inconvenience, it seems. So hard. Or being in a place like Lebanon, where there's a whole state of collapse. So in those situations where you're just trying to keep yourself alive and using your energy for that, keeping yourself alive, your family alive, protected from the virus, protected from war. And then suffering from a mental illness where you don't have control of your mind. You're unable to hold the mind or even the instructions or even hear the instructions. The mind's so overwhelmed by afflictions, neuroses, and so forth. Even to the point where it affects your physically, you're not able to even sit still. But even you don't have, a lot of it, sort of high intelligence or, so forth. With a heart of compassion, with a heart of bodhicitta, you can profoundly progress on the path. There's a power of bodhicitta compelling your actions. Or others having physical pain, painful conditions, that the pain is so excruciating, so we can tell for ourselves when we're in excruciating pain, what capacity has our mind to focus, to concentrate on the teachings, on reflecting on the teachings, reading. Even when our eyesight's going, and then our hearing's going. So how much time? No time to lose. We can think, those of us who have all the perfect conditions, think about, however old we are now, how much of our life has been spent chasing mainly worldly concerns. And even now, when we run to the Dharma, we have a great motivation, and yet so easy to be distracted, isn't it? To sensory pleasures, which we know is not the source of our happiness, but we're so habituated from beginningless lifetimes. To even cultivate one moment of aspiration for the Bodhisattva path, to benefit others. Even it's like a weak flame against the whole fire of afflictions. We can. We must take responsibility. The world needs desperately the realizations of compassion, of bodhicitta, of loving kindness. And then the only way we can cultivate that is the basis of other sentient beings. So then imagine, even beyond that, in a hellish existence, gazillions more beings in a hellish existence than in the animal realm. In the fiery hells of Avicii, even one tiny fire spark on the body, hotter than all the fire systems of this world. Unbelievable. Look what we saw with the bushfires. How unbelievable. Intense heat. We couldn't bear the suffering. No question to practice Dharma. Or in the predator realm, hungry ghosts, so caught up in craving and desire. And the body's distended and long thin necks with like razor blades, and you see the water and you get the water and it tastes like pus, or you don't even get the water, you go towards it, and before you get there the earth cracks and the water dries up and you're always parched, always constant craving. Unbelievable. We see this, those whose minds are compelled by addiction. Just a tip of the iceberg of what it's like in the predator realm. So we have the freedom of that for now. But if we chase constantly after worldly pleasures, sensory pleasures, temporary pleasures, even they last a whole lifetime, this could be my future rebirth. And then where goes my aspiration, bodhicitta, motivation to benefit others in those states of existence? Even many, many people who have the aspiration to engage in Dharma, to practice, to get the teachings and so forth, don't have access, Even here, we have students don't have internet access. So right now, under these restrictions, even more obstacles coming. But even not there. Even you're born in a place where the Dharma hasn't reached, you haven't encountered that. So no question to be able to practice. Or maybe being prevented from that by others, by family, by friends. That's why it's so important being a Buddhist inner being. Cultivating our own mind. And having compassion for all those so many beings in the world who have all the conditions and so forth, but just no interest or holding wrong views, like karma, or no understanding of that, the law of cause and effect, or thinking it doesn't affect me, or thinking that chasing after fame, fortune, status is the most important thing of this life. You know, not for one moment considering, maybe not even considering death, let alone the fact that at death, all of this becomes meaningless. Not only you leave it behind, it has no meaning. Like Steve Jobs said when he was coming to the end of his life. Realizing the meaninglessness of the status and wealth he'd acquired. Think that all these things are like a dream that evaporates as soon as you wake up. The bubble that bursts. Just like the body, so fragile, so subject to so many causes of death. So thinking about all your positive qualities, all the advantages of your health, all your freedoms, your opportunities right now, so precious, these precious, precious teachings with Geshe-la, transmitting an authentic lineage. We have met not only the Buddha's teachings, but pure lamas, passing on authentic traditions, here through the Nalanda tradition, and tracing back all that, all the way back to Shakyamuni Buddha. We can have such confidence in the teachings. We who've taken refuge in the Buddha have confidence in the Buddha's teachings, the Dharma, and those great realized beings who have brought the teachings to life for us. So rare, so precious. Just concluding from the three principal aspects of the path. The definition of having generated the mind of enlightenment. In short, if like the mother whose cherished son has fallen into a pit of fire and who experiences even 1 second of his suffering as an unbearable eternity, your reflection on the suffering of all mother sentient beings has made it impossible for you to bear their suffering for even 1 second. And the wish seeking enlightenment for their sake arises without effort. Then you have realized the supreme precious mind of enlightenment. May that supreme precious mind of enlightenment, not yet born, arise and grow. And may that born have no decline, but increase more and more. In my own mind and the minds of all beings for the benefit of the world. Thank you. So,
Thanks, Jyoti.
take a break till 10:30. Guess you'll all be